Well, this is Vomiting Rainbows episode 33.
The Jesus episode.
The Jesus episode.
Yeah.
But
without any Jesus content in it, though.
Exactly. But we actually went ahead. So you'll hear us say it's 34, but it's really 33.
In trying to find Jesus, we found the future, but then we got the math wrong. So needless to say, you hear us talk about 34, but it's really 33.
It's a new studio. It's complicated. But in this episode, we talk about neo-Nazis, we talk about Uber drivers, we talk about really bad promoters, and that's it. So listen.
The future of the world being led by a cat.
Yeah, exactly. So all of those things and more, listen and enjoy. Well, this is Vomiting Rainbows. This is going to be episode number 34.
Yay!
And this is a new one because this is where I actually have a guest co-host instead of Mike joining us on the podcast. Joe has decided to come and be a part of the podcast, try something a little new.
Yeah, big shoes to fill.
Big shoes to fill. An incredible studio.
I am just really happy to be in this. I don't even, can I say multi-billion? I would say multi-million, but I feel like there's a B in here somewhere.
Yeah,
because the soundproofing alone must be a couple million.
There is a lot of soundproofing going on.
I think this is a queen-size mattress.
No, it's a king.
Oh, wow.
It's a Cal King.
Got it.
Yeah, so...
that's a full square then, right? That's the California King deal?
It's a full square.
Right.
We have a co-host also in the studio, which is Ben.
Yeah.
Running
Ben
around.
the Bangle. What's his Insta? Ben the Bangle?
Ben _ Bangle.
Got it. We got to give him a shout out.
Yeah, so I'm sure he'll be knocking shit off and doing something annoying throughout the podcast.
Does a memory foam mattress work on a cat? Do you have to be a certain weight for would a mattress remember a cat?
I think it does.
Okay.
I definitely think this is one of the ones where, you know, he loves any bed-like object in my house.
Right.
So he's all over that.
Right. That's good.
So this is Vomiting Rainbows. If you haven't ever listened to it before, it's a podcast around darker news where I tell my friend 3 stories that he knows nothing about, and then we just kind of get your feedback and comments on them.
Not to be confused with Puking Rainbows, which is a couple people out of Iowa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's another podcast called Puking Rainbows?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not even know that. Who knew that there were so many other things going on?
Yeah.
What is Puking Rainbows about?
It's a friend tells another friend three
Shut up. Seriously.
I don't know.
All right.
I can't explain Iowa, man. It's just, it happens.
Right.
Yeah. That's why they're bumper stickers.
So Joe, you are the manager of the Stone Foxes.
Yes.
And what else? Tell a little bit more about you.
I manage the Stone Foxes. I manage a few other bands. This local, I shouldn't say local. This international star called Andrew St. James.
Okay.
A band fellow from L.A. called B. Beeman. A rapper from Philly called STS. And then we do a lot of music stuff. My partner and myself, anything to do with music, we kind of play around with. So music for movies and music videos and things that hit ears and sound like stuff we like to be involved with.
I'm going to use this high-priced microphone holding stand.
Get that thing in there.
I'm gonna see.
Be careful what I say.
Yeah,
on the radio.
we're such a high quality podcast that it's unbelievable.
You just handed 2 people holding your microphones for you and massaging your feet.
Exactly.
What is he making? He's making like $80,000 a year to massage your left foot.
$80,000. And by the way, do you want some of the spa water that we have over here?
Yeah. Oh, sparkling, please. Thank you.
Okay.
You just offered me Ben's cat water. Thanks, Doug.
I did. I just gave you Ben's cat water and I blew bubbles into it for the sparkling part.
It's delicious.
Yeah. So you're pretty familiar with the Bay Area music scene.
Yeah.
So do you know Derrick Ion?
Why does that ring? That's not the ghost ship.
That is the ghost ship guy.
Yeah. Not a fan.
Not a fan
at all.
I don't think many people are a fan.
Right.
But I don't know if you heard what just happened recently, but he was finally arrested.
Good.
Yeah. So
and not obviously convicted. This was just pulled in and charged.
Just pulled in and charged.
Got
They
it.
didn't know exactly how that was going to go. But yeah, he it turned out that he is getting charged for knowingly and with disregard for risk, allowing individuals to live, deceive police, landlords, and inspectors.
Whoa! Oh, you forgot about the commercials.
Yeah, I guess we're doing
It's a
commercials
commercial
now.
break.
Okay, so we're going to take a little. I don't even know where it's coming from.
I didn't know you had a Comcast sponsorship.
No, we apparently we do. Hold on.
Nice.
Yeah, we must have left something going on.
Is that coming through your tooth? Is that the technology that exists already?
I think so. Hold on.
Facebook Messenger can now advertise through your friend's teeth.
What is that?
Oh, it's some. Do you think someone else is connected to the Bluetooth?
No, I think probably what happened there. I have no idea where that. Oh,
I think when everything in your studio is made from gold, these issues can start to occur.
You know what happened? I brought up the Derrick Ion thing.
Yeah.
And because we're such a professional podcast here,
Right.
it started playing the Comcast ad on the page.
Right.
We had our headset in, couldn't figure out where it was coming from.
Yeah.
Dude, this is quality.
Well, maybe Franklin over there should have looked up from his foot massage to pay better attention to the browser.
He should have.
Yeah.
So they were doing unpermitted and unsafe musical events. And so those reckless acts caused the death of 36 individuals. So that's what they're getting charged with. They face up to 39 years in prison. So this is going to be kind of a big thing. I think a lot of people are going to be watching this case.
Yeah.
And of course, on Vomiting Rainbows, we cover all of this first.
Right.
We're on it.
Right. Well, I mean, it's an incredibly sad thing, obviously, and it's something that it's when you have this group of folks who are already battling. This is a massive conversation that I'm sure we can't go too deep into just with the amount of time and other topics. But you have a lot of people trying to stay in the Bay Area right now, and that I think holds true in cities all across the country, and artists and trying to be creative in their living spaces, and the people like Derrick who are in a position to take advantage of that in an unsafe manner, obviously causing this to happen is just disgusting on so many levels, and then also really sad. And so you hope that now, and to your point, I think it is such a big deal because you hope that now governments will pay attention and hopefully be supportive, because that can go multiple directions. And if they're not, you have the risk of more and more people getting pushed out of cities and having no place to go. But with the support, and I know there are some unions that are not unions, but I think there are some government bodies that are forming that are actually offering free inspector services. One of those. Well, where they can go in and actually see if it's a safe spot, and they'll actually have professionals fix problems that are there to make them safe. And so that's the kind of thing that's amazing, and I hope that comes from it. But at the same time, there could be other things coming from it that aren't as supportive, which is kind of a scary thought.
Yeah, well, and the other thing, too, is it's so easy to rent a warehouse in Oakland.
Right.
They're so hurting for revenue in that area that a lot of landlords are really easily willing to look the other way,
Right.
rather than do anything to actually see who their tenants are, what they're doing, and monitor them.
Right.
And then the police kind of get blindsided by this because they hear of something going on, but they had no idea that it was actually going on.
Oh yeah.
And so there's a body cam video of Ion doing, like, completely deceiving the police and telling him that he was doing that. This whole space was he collected things and sold them there. So it was really like an antique showroom.
This is after he was
this
after
was
the fire.
before.
Or this is before. Okay.
In 2014, there
Wow.
was arson out front of his place, and so because of that arson, the police had to come do a huge report on it.
Right.
And he's just like full on lying to their face.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, wow, that's an amazing jump.
Yeah,
Kat just did. Well, I mean, and that's the other thing, is that it's just this such a high level of taking advantage, because I have a few friends who have thrown parties there, right? And they're going into that situation, and they do have to take responsibility on some level, right? If you go into a private spot,
actually do Ghost Ship?
So no.
Okay.
This was probably 3 years ago. I had two friends throw a party at the same location, and I talked to them about this, and after this happened, of course, and basically they said they were trying to, I don't know if it was actually Derrick or someone on their team, but they were actually blocking that same entrance or the exit that was, so that second entrance exit that was blocked apparently.
Right.
My friends had actually said, why is this blocked? There obviously needs to be, not probably thinking even on that higher level of what if something happened, but just in general logical sense, like there should be another way to get in and out of this, as opposed to apparently that one staircase that's extremely intense and frighteningly dangerous. And so it's something where those people going into that show are looking for a cool venue that you can have a reasonable ticket price, that maybe isn't having to deal as much with the local politics of shows. And it's something that's just so sad when they don't even know that they could be putting all their friends and their family and everyone on the risk of losing your life or just being badly injured. It's just a terrible situation all around.
Well, the other thing too is that I know you, and I'm sure you've been to a bunch of after hours in the city, and I never even consider that option when I walk into the event space or anything of that nature. Now I am, but before, it's like an after hours. It may be paid, it may be unpaid. There may be a DJ there, but you think of it more as a house party, not necessarily an event, because it doesn't have security.
Well,
yeah, and all of those things. So you'd never imagine this happening. But this other guy named Max or Max Harris, he's also being charged with the reckless homicide charges, and his role at Ghost Ship was creative director or camp counselor.
Nice.
So everyone said that he was. Derrick wasn't really managing the event that night.
It was this other guy.
It was this Max Harris. So they're charging him equally responsible.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense. You got to have someone to take that responsibility, and absolutely no one was. And these two guys really caused this horrible, horrible thing to happen. And I don't know. It almost points out, regulation, which is also another massive topic, right? But this is almost one of these great examples of why it can be incredibly valuable to have some kind of body overlooking to make sure there's like safety in place. And I remember when, I think this was maybe also a couple years ago, there was that Airbnb story about a family rented, this is really sad, so I won't even go into too many details, but a family rented an Airbnb house, and like someone was on a log swing out back, and there was just completely not like structured foundationally, and the dad fell and was like killed.
Oh my God.
And again, when you compare, and this isn't, I'm not trying to hate on Airbnb, we go down that road, but it's the idea that it's someone putting up a house.
Right.
My buddy, John put up that swing out back. He doesn't really know that that's going to be safe. And yeah, we also don't want to run around our lives being like too overprotective, but really that's the kind of thing where we're in a society where you trust, if you're paying money for a service, whether it's a house or it's a show, you kind of just assume that it's going to be safe. And maybe A, we shouldn't assume that, or B, the regulation should be there for that reason, so that we can trust it if we're paying for a service, that we're not going to potentially be killed by that service.
Exactly. So the other thing that was like really bad about Ion was when after this, like, I don't know if you remember, but like literally after
post?
Yeah, the post.
Man.
His post was it was just so bad.
Well, it's as bad as you saw the Today Show interview too.
No, I
mean that's, I don't know if you have audio or you can play that, but basically he sat there, and the whole time you had Lauer asking questions, and they're very fair questions, like, do you feel responsible for what happened? Do you feel responsible for this? And he just wouldn't answer the question. Just say, what do you mean responsible? I'd rather have the families and the parents trample on my body, and just this incredibly like detached from reality, over emotional, but not taking any responsibility. And that initial post was just it
was terrible.
The most tone deaf thing that anyone has maybe ever done.
Yeah, my total losses will accumulate over $1 million. I don't know where to begin setting the value on some of the possessions because they were so priceless to me.
Yeah,
I'm devastated.
And 36 people.
Yeah,
are dead.
36 people are dead.
Yeah, clueless.
Yeah. Well, Good story. Good story to start off vomiting rainbows on.
Wow, so that's where the vomiting part comes from. We just get nauseous and horrible humanity.
No. we're gonna go a little. We're gonna go further.
Oh gosh.
That was kind of a light story.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of Eliza Wazni.
No.
All right. Here, let me show you a little picture of her. Here, let's see. This is her.
Okay.
So, nice kind of girl next door, 16-year-old high school student.
All right.
She took a Uber trip at 3 a.m. And I guess decided to hack to death the Uber driver.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Where was this?
This was in Chicago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So apparently she called 3 Ubers. And the first Uber came and picked her up. That guy was very lucky. He let her out, and then after he let her out,
well, what do you mean he let her out? That was the end of the ride.
Yeah,
so she took multiple Ubers.
Yeah, so she was obviously working up to this.
Got it.
The second Uber driver picked her up, where she went. They don't say to what location, but she then got a machete and a knife. And then the third Uber driver is this guy named Grant Nelson. And he had just gone to dinner with his parents.
Wait a minute. Can I back up for a second?
Yeah.
When the second Uber driver, where do you get dropped off to pick up is that a Home Depot thing?
Yeah.
Or is that a knife store?
Yeah, but
or did you go here, give me 20 minutes. I got to run to this knife convention. I'll be about.
Right.
Keep the meter running.
Keep the meter running so I can go get some.
That person's not questioning that?
I'm pretty sure when you have a moment like this where something like this is going on,
you're not processing it.
Yeah.
In the driver's seat.
Well, the other thing too is it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right, where do you get a hatchet and a knife? So that was at a friend's house then.
No,
she bought it.
No, it said that she stole it.
Where do you? Wow,
yeah,
this
where
is
would you?
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And what does that even come in? Do you wrap that in a bag and put it in the trunk of the car?
Yeah.
How does he not see that? How do they not see that?
And apparently, I'm not sure if this is just how they found her, or if she was actually wearing this when she got picked up.
Right.
But she was only in a bra and leggings.
Oh my gosh.
So something was, it sounds a little bit like a Flocka type thing, where somebody took something, they went a little nutty.
Yeah.
Probably hopped in a pool and, started playing around in the pool. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, man, we go to different pool parties.
Yeah. Well, I was, the same pool party, but. So anyway, I don't know what exactly happened.
This
to
is
her.
going to be season 3 of Serial, probably.
Yeah,
not to be promoting, competitive podcasts. I guess we're not competing against. Well, we are. Of course, we are.
Yeah, but I don't think this would ever be a Serial, because the Serial is are they guilty or are they not guilty?
Well, it's like S-Town. Have you heard S-Town?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be kind of where it went into more of a character direction.
Yeah, I liked S-Town a lot.
Great podcast.
It was a great podcast. So, no, I don't think it'll be anything like that.
Right.
But it is so on Vomiting Rainbows, an early episode that we did Austin Haroof. And he was a guy in Florida who went to dinner and ended up leaving the dinner, acting strange. His parents called the cops, and the cops said, "No, we just found him." And where they found him, he was biting the face off of a couple. A couple was just sitting in the garage enjoying sunset, and he came up to them and bit their face off.
Man,
yeah. So
that wasn't the pro wrestler dude.
No,
because that was happening with wasn't that there was that run of OxyContin?
Yeah,
where you had pro wrestlers who were eating each other.
Yeah,
I don't mean to laugh, but what the f?
Yeah, I mean it's a little disturbing to say the least, but yeah, I think there's something. I think this girl, probably 16, probably started experimenting maybe with a drug or something of that nature, and went bananas. Decided, but it was premeditated.
So yeah, second Uber driver somehow at 3 a.m. steals a hatchet and a knife.
Yeah, she goes somewhere, gets dropped off, then steals a hatchet and a knife.
Okay,
probably opportunistic type items.
Right,
but she was on a path to kill.
Got it. and then calls the third Uber driver
Right.
and kills him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, Ben.
Exactly. Ben's chiming right in.
This is like a Stone Temple Pilots song.
Yeah. So.
Jeez.
Yeah. So.
Where are the rainbows, man? Or is the idea that we don't keep them down? Like there's so much darkness.
There's so much
our
darkness
body
here.
Can't like turn the rainbows that we try to eat in life into nutrition. They don't process.
Yeah. So I think the thing here is that your life looks like a rainbow after.
Oh, there it goes.
After
all right.
hearing some of these wonderful stories.
Right, we're overflowing with rainbows.
Yeah. So yeah, she had posted on her Facebook page, "I will always be myself."
Mm-hmm.
And then she
this is before.
Yeah, before.
Okay.
But the last thing that she posted was, okay, that just changed everything.
Man.
Yeah.
So something happened, like relationship or well. So then was this? She didn't kill herself after anything. So she was detained and she's been charged.
She's charged. She was running through the community trying to hide behind some bushes.
Wow.
The cops found her. They found she was still holding both the weapons, refused to drop them, and then they tased her.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't tase me, bro.
Yeah, well, that's very necessary tasing.
Yeah, I think in that situation, you definitely want her down.
And she's been convicted at this point, or this is still
no.
This is what's up.
She hasn't gone to trial yet. But this is not one that's going to be like a question mark.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a jury that'll let this one slide.
But Illinois no longer has the death penalty, so she probably won't face that. The other thing is she's not an adult.
Yeah,
but I'm sure they're going to charge her as an adult.
Right.
It's the first homicide in Lincolnwood, which is where this occurred, since 2006.
Wow, and that's a small like suburb of Chicago.
I assume it is. And that was a domestic dispute that ended up in a murder. The guy that she killed was like this all around good guy. All of his family loved him.
Horrible.
He was extremely generous. He would help out in animal shelter. He's like a huge animal advocate. And he had just gone to dinner with his family and decided to like pick up some extra cash by running picking up some Uber rides.
So when they were there drugs found in her body, or have they released that report yet?
They haven't released anything, and she
Got it.
And she hasn't said anything about like what the logic was or why she attacked this person. So there's no rhyme or reason to this at all. So and you saw the picture of her. She is like
she seems just like a normal kid. But I mean, how to even judge that in this day and age? I think if she's, and then I'm sure you'll have a lot of people talking about, I don't know, maybe video games, maybe maybe entertainment, and I think that's a whole can of worms in its own right, obviously. But it sounds like it's drugs, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it's drugs. But other thing,
the human brain's a crazy thing, and people are wired differently, and man, I don't know. Yeah. There's possibly just a screw loose, or a few,
possibly.
But I mean, like a screw that was loose prior to like OxyContin,
or whatever she was on.
Right.
The other thing that was she hopped into the car, tried to like drive off with this guy's car, ran it into the median, then just left it running, and it's like horrific. You can see like blood stains all over the car.
Oh man!
I mean, she was, and then she just started running. So I think we'll keep following this one, but I think there are going to be more and more things that come out, much like the Austin Haroof. Like they won't tell anything about like what he was on or anything until the trial.
Right.
And I think the same thing's going to happen with this girl.
Right.
And it's amazing to me how long it takes for some of this stuff to go to trial.
Well,
it goes like we'll like episode 60 will probably be when
in 3 years when it goes to trial. Yeah,
because it's like all this discovery and all this stuff. She's probably going to be in like some sort of evaluation, psychiatric evaluation. So yeah, we'll definitely keep our eye on it. And so you know, I think probably our final story, which is uh, two words that I want to see kind of what comes to your mind when you think Army National Guard service person
Okay.
/ neo-Nazi.
Bad.
You think bad?
I think that is a bad combination.
So so if you go on heavy.com, you can kind of look up this guy. His name was Russell, and he came home to his house, and apparently he said that he came home from the Army National Guard, and his two roommates apparently died, like were wounded and killed in his house. So he called the cops, and the cops were like, So something went bad between these two guys, and they killed each other. You came home and found them.
Yeah.
But it turns out that's not what really happened.
Right.
It seems that Brandon Russell came home, and he, I guess, had a falling out, and shot one of his roommates in the head, and shot the other roommate. And then guess what else they found in there?
Oxycontin.
No, a ton of bomb-making materials.
Oh, of course they did.
Guess what these guys were into? They were part of
Hitler.
They were
making bombs.
They were they were
huge Bernie Sanders supporters.
Very big Bernie Sanders supporters. They found explosive precursors and enough weapons to level the neighborhood. And it turns out that they were part of Atomwaffen, which is a neo-Nazi group that believes that they need to bring about change through violent military action.
Man, it's like I try not to. It's easy to fall into the world of being very fearful, right? And
right.
Like with all these things, and that's something that gets used against a lot of good people in a lot of bad ways. But I will say, it feels really scary with the combination of stories like this and people like this and technology.
Yeah.
And you know, this idea where, I mean, wasn't there even a 16-year-old kid he got like plutonium and he was like building a bomb, a nuclear, like a small version of a nuclear bomb in his backyard?
I didn't even hear that.
I'll try to track that down. And
I think that was a movie in the 80s.
With Matthew Broderick or something?
I do remember that movie.
Yeah. Then they ended up just playing tic-tac-toe and it was really fun.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. I mean, you talk about these potential ideas, which are still, okay, maybe 20 years away, maybe they never exist, but where you have like an atom box, right? You have like a matter box that can create anything. Right. Okay, maybe there's some iteration of that eventually that exists, but just the concept of a 3D printer and where that technology is already and where it's certainly going, and then you put in crazy people, and then you put in just access to any type of material that could explode. That's scary, man.
Well, I mean, when you think of the fact that like if you have in my previous life, I was in chemical engineering.
Oh, geez.
And one of the things that you can find is almost anything that you want. If you start looking, you can find so many benign items that you can go purchase that can be turned into something dangerous.
Right.
And you can't make all of those unavailable. I mean, you can't say, oh, you can't use fertilizer anymore, or you can't use like lead.
Well, exactly.
Or sodium.
And in the open, information age that we live in now, which is an amazing thing and a thing that causes like and creates so much innovation and progress and is incredibly important. And anyone can be a musician if they have YouTube. Anyone can be anything. They could be a rocket scientist on some level because they can learn a lot of those things to some degree. You can also maybe learn how to do a lot of stuff, and then the other side of that in a weird way gets back to regulation, which is a horribly scary and really kind of bad approach when you have that level of intervention. But I'm absolutely anti the big brother concepts and homeland security and that sort of thing. But if technology continues to go and crazy people continue to exist, which just seems to obviously be part of humanity, a percentage are going to be crazy. I don't know how else you deal with it, quite frankly, and that's a scary thought. and I don't even like to promote that thought, but I just don't know if in 30 years, let's say, even anything close to a 3D printer on the level of like energy, right? Like on the level of like protons and all those pieces. And this is what's been talked about a lot. If anything even close to that exists, which I think it will, like how do you possibly keep everyone safe or even anyone safe?
Well, I mean, and then you start realizing, hopefully, society matures with the technology. So
right, but like that's the scary part, is that it seems like society, even with recent iterations in the United States, that maybe appears to not be maturing, which it definitely seems that way with our president and all that. But it's still, if you look at the big picture, there are less wars overall, right? And there is overall slightly less racism. There's still all these horrible, horrible things, and it feels like it's cyclical. But overall, it does feel like we're slowly, very slowly evolving. But even still, very slowly, but even still, that percentage of, if it's like, not to say 20% of people are evil, but if 20% of people have trouble dealing with certain things or are put into a situation where like they're led to choices that are like harmful to others, like if we continue to evolve even in 50 or 100 years, I don't think that percentage will ever go away altogether. And it only takes like 0.00001% of people to have access to the same technology to like take out everybody.
Well, and I think we have a solution right here in this room that will solve everything,
which is
memory
foam mattress.
And we'll just have Ben, like the overseeing thing to like look over everything.
I mean, it would make sense that a simplified like animal mind would be the leader.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't be like Ben, as awesome as Ben is, he's not going to create a nuclear bomb.
No, he's definitely not.
But he'll purr a lot. We just need to all purr a little bit more in our lives.
I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, just a little bit more purring.
Yeah.
It lowers your cholesterol, right? Like petting a cat.
I did not know that.
I don't know. I think it's cholesterol.
Is it?
Maybe blood pressure. Same thing, right?
No, I think
it's similar thing.
I like our digression from neo-Nazis blowing things up straight to petting a cat lowers your I think it's your blood pressure.
Yeah, that's probably it.
They give it to like the elderly.
And then that eventually helps your cholesterol when you have, lower blood pressure.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it's one of those.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. So
thanks, Ben. We'll look forward to your leadership.
Yeah. And thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
And trying our new studio, which is which is pretty epic. And obviously, we'll go into the green room after this and decompress. But
and I got a foot massage out of the whole thing too.
Exactly. So, episode 34. It was, I think, really, topical. We talked about. we talked
That's
about
sort of the concept, right?
Right. I mean, we hit on a bunch of,
especially the solution Jimmy over here had to put on my feet. That was really topical too.
Yeah, there's a lot of topical things all over. All right, excellent.